A trip to Bold Castle on the St. Lawrence River, a dinner cruise on Racket Lake, a paddle through the 7 carries in the St. Regis canoe area. There are a lot of ways in the North Country to get on the water, be a tourist, and learn about our region's history. Today, we hop aboard a sunset cruise on Lake Champlain that takes us back to the war before America's War for Independence. All aboard for today's story of the day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Long Run Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor in Lake Placid, providing comprehensive wealth management, retirement, and financial planning solutions. LongRunWealth.com. And from SciTech Business Solutions, training and consulting services to help businesses grow. More information at citec.org.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Wednesday, June 14th, Flag Day. First up, New York public schools have new guidance on the use of students' preferred names and pronouns. As WSHU's Sabrina Garone reports, teachers are not required to inform parents about their child's gender identity.
Under the framework from the State Education Department, students can request their preferred name and pronouns be used in school without parental consent. However, situations will be addressed on a case-by-case basis, taking into account the student's age, maturity, and mental health. The state says the goal is to promote student privacy and confidentiality. Under federal and state law, changing names and pronouns on official school records is required by districts if documentation of a legal name change is provided. The guidance also allows students to use the restroom that aligns with their gender identity and recommends teachers stray away from using boys and girls to address their class. For North Country Public Radio, I'm Sabrina Garone.
Governor Kathy Hochul says she hopes to double the number of state troopers hired in New York over the next year. The governor spoke at a ceremony for the force's latest graduates today. Karen DeWitt reports from Albany.
Hochul told the graduating class that the state budget includes money to double the number of new troopers in the next year. She says she hopes to add more women and more diversity to the ranks.
We need more of you because we're living in turbulent times. There's a lot of mistrust among communities and law enforcement, and you are the individuals who every single day are going to get up and break down those barriers.
The 238 new troopers increased the force to nearly 4,800. Under Hochul's tenure, the state police have taken on new duties in gun control and safety measures. They include policing the state's red flag laws, which temporarily removes firearms from people believed to be a potential danger to themselves or others. In Albany, I'm Karen DeWitt.
Saranac Lake passed a law Monday to regulate short-term rentals. According to the Adirondack Daily Enterprise, it'll require short-term rental owners to have permits. It grandfathers in existing rentals and caps the number allowed in the village. The law won't go into effect until New York State makes it official. It's summer in the North Country, and that means it's time to grab every chance we can get to get out on the water. Fort Ticonderoga runs guided cruises of Lake Champlain aboard the Carillon, its wooden 1920s-style cruise boat. Last year, almost 6,000 people took the boat tour. Our Champlain Valley reporter Kara Chapman was one of them, and she brought us this story.
I'm aboard the Carillon, Fort Ticonderoga's wooden 1920s-style cruise boat. It's a warm, clear evening, and Lake Champlain is calm as we take off from the dock near the fort's pavilion. Tonight, the ship is steered by Captain Bill, but the tour is led by Ethan Nick. He's Fort Ticonderoga's maritime interpreter.
Now, before we get going with our cruise this evening, guys, first I want to introduce myself. My name's Ethan. Hello. It's great to have you all this truly lovely afternoon.
Nick's wearing the uniform of a midshipman, a low-ranking officer in the British Royal Navy of the 1770s. He's got a blue frock coat over a white shirt with 2 rows of gold buttons, plus beige breeches. We head south toward Mount Defiance. That's a high hill that separates Lake Champlain and Lake George.
Now, you're on this lake, say, in the year 1755. Near the beginning of the conflict we know as the 7 Years' War, the French and Indian War, whichever term you prefer. It's the year the French begin building the fort over there in New York that they call Fort Carillon.
Fort Ticonderoga was called Fort Carillon under the original French occupation. Nick explains that at the time you could travel north on Lake Champlain to the Richelieu River. Next, an overland connection, or portage, gave you access to the St. Lawrence River and modern-day Quebec. That was the lifeblood of France's North American empire in the 1750s. Similarly, on the other side of Mount Defiant sits Lake George, a major hub of Britain's empire in North America at the time.
And so you can see Fort Carillon here sits right at the junction of these two imperial worlds. The whole globe is about to be immersed in this massive conflict of the 7 Years' War. And what's more, this fort is designed to guard the central portage, short overland road running around Mount Defiance that ultimately connected Lake George and all those southern waterways to Lake Champlain, and all those important maritime highways to the north of here. That's why Fort Ticonderoga is here. That's why it becomes the center of events so very quickly.
Throughout the cruise, Nick goes deep into detail on Fort Ticonderoga's battles, but also Revolution-era ships and even tales of rum runners crossing the lake during Prohibition. There's a couple dozen people on the boat with me. They shout out questions, and Nick fields all of them with the same level of enthusiasm. One little girl asks if the lake is home to a monster.
Call him Champ. Get it? Champ, like Champlain? Yeah, I see the face you're making is like, really? That's my thoughts exactly. But people say that Champ is real. The best evidence that I can think of is...
At one point, I sit across from Robert Young and Judy Lansky. They're siblings from North Carolina and New Jersey on their first vacation together since before the COVID-19 pandemic. They say they're intrigued by the fort's history, but their initial inspiration for visiting Ticonderoga lies hundreds of years ahead of the 18th century battles it's known for.
Star Trek.
In addition to the fort, Ticonderoga is home to the Star Trek Original Series set tour, billed as the most accurate reconstruction of the original series set.
I'm a diehard original series Star Trek fan. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But he wanted to see the fort, so I was like, okay, we're here.
As we chat, the bartender comes around with complimentary glasses of punch in preparation for a toast. Now I'm on the job, so I don't participate in this part of the tour. Nick says the punch is based off several period recipes, which usually combined strong liquor, plenty of water, sugar, citrus, and a sharp spice. Today, that's nutmeg.
Give you an idea of what the British Army and British Navy were enjoying as they were about to toast to the success of this critical mission to sail down the lake and try and take American-held Ticonderoga.
Nick offers up a toast to the success of the King's arms, but one cruiser has a different idea.
How about one to the captain and announcer? Great job.
I can't toast myself.
Great job.
All right, to Captain Bill.
Forget the
Nick's history lessons continue as we make our way back south to the Carillon's dock. He says he hopes we've gotten an idea of the importance of water to the country's history and the role it still plays today.
And so, when you think of water as a highway, it's no surprise that for so long, Lake Champlain here, rather than say just dividing New York from Vermont, preventing people from getting where they need to go or what have you, has instead drawn folks from literally all over the world to this very spot for so many different reasons. Sometimes amicable, sometimes violent, in war and in peace, and over a huge span of time as well.
And sometimes that's for a peaceful and historical boat cruise. Kara Chapman, North Country Public Radio, on the waters off Fort Ticonderoga.
Fort Ticonderoga's Carillon cruises are offered twice a day, Tuesday through Sunday. Its sunset cruises start back up again in July. Kara's story originally aired last summer. We have more news all the time on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by Patricia Julian of Burlington, Vermont, and Evan Veenstra of Gananoque, Ontario. I'm David Sommerstein, North Country Public Radio.